Grab your coffee, mama. It's time for coffee, clients, and nap time. I'm Sarah Marie, and this is your guide to building a business that works for you and your family. Here, we'll dive into creating a thriving business that lets you be the hands-on parent you want while designing the life you've always dreamed of. So if you're ready to balance business success with family life and make it all work in a way that feels right for you, then let's dive in. Hey mamas, and welcome back to Coffee, Clients, and Nap Time. I'm Sarah Marie, and today I want to talk about something that may be costing you sales without you even realizing it, and that's confusion. Not because your offer isn't good, not because people don't need what you're selling, but because they can't figure out what you're actually offering and why it's important to them. Because most of the time, it's not that people aren't buying because they're not interested. They're not buying because they're confused. And I know this because I've done it myself. I've overthought the wording. I've tried to sound more impressive. I've added extra detail to make it feel more valuable. And I've tried to be maybe a little bit clever with it all. And instead of strengthening my message, it just made it all harder to understand. And when people have to think too hard, they just don't buy. Not because they're not interested, but because they don't have the capacity to figure it out, especially mums. So today, let's talk about why clarity converts better than cleverness, why we tend to overcomplicate things, and how to strip your messaging back so people actually understand what it is that you're offering. I want to start today's episode exploring why we do this in the first place, because often it's really not intentional. We're not trying to confuse people. We're actually trying to do the opposite. We try to be clever because we want to stand out. We look at everyone else in our industry and we think, how do I differentiate myself? How do I sound more professional than everyone else? And how do I make my offer feel more valuable than what's already out there? So we add layers. We use sophisticated language. We create frameworks with fancy names. We avoid saying the simple, obvious thing because it feels too basic. We often think, if I just say I help mums build sustainable businesses, then that's going to be too simple. Everyone says that. I need to be more compelling. So instead we might write, I facilitate holistic business transformation for mothers navigating entrepreneurial identity evolution. And we think that that sounds better and more impressive and far more credible. Except nobody really knows what that actually means. We also overcomplicate because we're trying to include everything. We don't want to leave anything out, and we don't want people to miss all the value that we're offering. So instead of simply saying, this program helps you build a profitable coaching business, we say this program includes mindset work, business strategy, marketing fundamentals, sales psychology, productivity systems, time management frameworks, and community support to help you build, scale, and sustain a coaching business aligned with your values. And by trying to say everything, we've really just said nothing clearly. We also overcomplicate because we're afraid of being judged. If we keep things complex, we can hide behind the language. If we're clear and simple, we become exposed. People can immediately decide if it's for them or not, and that can feel scary. So instead, we try to be clever, and we layer complexity, and we use impressive language, and we think we're making our offer even more appealing by doing so. But we're actually just making it harder to buy. And what that confusion is doing is costing you. I want to go through the 4 main things it is actually costing you. First, you're probably losing sales. People who genuinely need what you offer are just scrolling past because they can't figure out what you do fast enough. And people will not put in the work to understand you. They won't study your website. They won't decode your clever language. They will simply move on because confusion is cognitively expensive. When someone has to think hard to understand what exactly it is that you are offering, their brain just goes, nope, this is too much effort. Next. And for mums who are managing a million things, operating on limited capacity, scrolling during the 3-minute window between tasks, they have even less tolerance for confusion. So if it's not immediately clear what it is that you do, who it is that it's for, and how it helps, they will just scroll past. And it's not because your offer isn't good, but simply because understanding it requires bandwidth that they do not have. Second, you're probably losing referrals because when people can't explain what it is that you do, they can't refer you. Think about it. If someone asks, hey, what does Sarah do? And the person who follows me can't give a clear, simple answer, they won't refer me because they don't want to look stupid trying to explain something they do not fully understand. But if they can say, she helps mums build sustainable businesses, that's referable. That's something that they can confidently share. Third, you're losing authority. When your messaging is confusing, people assume you don't know what you're doing. Because if you can't explain your offer clearly, it signals that you're not clear on the value yourself. Clear messaging signals expertise. Confusing messaging signals uncertainty. And fourth, you're creating a harder sales process for yourself. Every confused potential client who does reach out then requires more hand-holding, more explanation, more convincing, because they don't fully understand what it is that they're buying. So confusion isn't just a minor inconvenience. It is actively costing you money, referrals, authority, and energy. Now let's talk about what's actually happening in someone's brain when they encounter confusing messaging. There's something called cognitive load. It's basically the amount of mental effort your brain is using at any given moment. Your brain has limited processing capacity. When you're using a lot of that capacity to understand something, you have less available for decision making. So when someone lands on your website and has to work hard to figure out what it is that you do, their brain is using so much energy just trying to understand the offer that they literally don't have the capacity left to make the purchase decision. It's often not that they're not interested though. It's that their brain just goes, this is too hard. I need to conserve energy. I'm done. And this happens unconsciously. They're not actively thinking, oh my God, this is confusing. I'm leaving. They just get a feeling of this is too much effort and they keep moving on. Now add to the fact that most of your ideal clients are already operating at a high cognitive load all the time. They're managing schedules, mental to-do lists, emotional regulation for multiple humans, decision fatigue from 1,000 daily choices. And when they're scrolling, during that rare moment that they have, their cognitive capacity is already depleted. They have almost nothing left to give to figuring out your clever messaging. This is why simple, clear messaging works. It requires minimal cognitive effort. They can understand it instantly, which means their brain has capacity left to actually consider whether they want to buy. Clear messaging removes the friction. It makes that decision easy, and easy decisions get made almost instantly, whereas hard decisions get postponed or abandoned. So when I say clarity converts better than cleverness, this is why. It's not just marketing advice, it's how our human brains actually work. So what does clear messaging actually look like? Clear messaging answers 3 questions immediately. 1, what do you do? 2, who is it for? And 3, how does it help? So 1, what do you do? This is not the framework that you use. This is not your philosophy. This is the actual thing you do to help people. For example, I help mums build profitable businesses is clear, whereas I facilitate transformational business evolution is really not. 2, who is it for? Here's where you need to be specific. Who is your ideal client? Don't try to appeal to everyone by being vague. For mums who want to build a business is clear. For women navigating entrepreneurial journeys is vague. 3, how does it help? What's the outcome? What transformational result do they get? So you can earn money doing work you love without burning out is clear. So you can create holistic alignment really is not. That's it. 3 questions. Simple, direct answers. You really don't need clever language. You don't need unique frameworks. You don't need to sound sophisticated. You just need to be so clear that someone scrolling past can instantly understand what is it that you do and whether it is for them. There's a simple way to test this. Could a stranger explain your offer to someone else after reading your homepage for just 10 seconds? Do you think they could? If not, it's not clear enough. Think of it this way. Clarity is when your 8-year-old could explain what you do. Cleverness is when your best friend struggles to refer you because they can't explain what you do. Look, there are a few places where we tend to overcomplicate our messaging, and I just want to touch on them briefly before moving on. One of them is your homepage headline. This is often the first thing people see, and many of us like to make it clever instead of clear. Empowering women to rise into their authentic business truth may sound nice, but what does it actually mean? I help mums start profitable coaching businesses is boring, but it's instantly clear and it's SEO optimized. So boring and clear beats clever and confusing every single time. Another place we tend to overcomplicate things is in our offer names. And I get it, I really do. You want your program to sound special. But if the name doesn't tell people what it is, you're just creating yourself extra work. The Awakening method tells me nothing, but a 12-week business launch program tells me exactly what it is. You can still have the creative name if you want, but pair it with the clear subtitle. The Awakening method, a 12-week business launch program for mums, is perfect. Clear, concise, people know what they're getting. Another place we tend to overcomplicate is within our service descriptions. This is where we try to list every single thing we include, and so often it overwhelms people. Instead of, this includes weekly calls, monthly strategy sessions, email support, a private community, workbooks, templates, bonus trainings, and. Try maybe, this is a 3-month program where I help you launch your coaching business. You get weekly support, all the templates you need, and a community of mums doing the same thing. Lead with the outcome. Support it with the essentials. Don't try to list every feature. The next place we try to overcomplicate is within our bio. We try to fit our entire professional history, every certification, every modality we've ever studied. But people really don't care about your credentials until they understand what you actually do. In my case, I'm an NLP practitioner, human design analyst, business strategist, and marketing mentor. Is impressive but confusing. But if I say I help mums build sustainable businesses, it's clear. And I could add on. I bring 15 plus years of experience and training in strategy, business support, and human design. Always lead with clarity and support with the credibility. The ongoing pattern in all these, we often front-load complexity when we should front-load the clarity. Now, before we get into how to simplify, I really want to address the fear that may be bubbling up inside you right now, because understanding why we resist clarity is as important as knowing how to create it. Here's what we're really afraid of when we hide behind complex messaging. Often it's the fear of being too simple. So if I say I help mums build businesses, won't I sound basic? Won't people think I'm not sophisticated enough? Won't I lose credibility? The people who hide behind jargon are usually the ones that are still figuring it out. Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Simple doesn't mean simplistic. It means you understand your work so deeply that you can distill it to its essence. Sometimes it's the fear of immediate rejection. If your messaging is vague, people can't immediately rule themselves out. They may still be interested. They may still want to explore. But when your messaging is crystal clear, people can instantly decide, yes, that's for me, or no, that's not for me. And that second option often feels scary. We're afraid that if we're too clear, we'll lose potential clients. But vague messaging doesn't prevent rejection. It just delays it. And in the meantime, you're also losing the people who are your perfect fit because they can't tell if you are for them. Sometimes it's the fear of being pigeonholed. This is especially true in my case. I've said to myself so many times, but I do more than just one thing. And if I'm too specific, won't I miss out on other opportunities? But what I found actually happens is that when you're really clear about one thing, people will hire you for that thing. And once they're working with you, they discover all the other things that you can help with. But if you're trying to market everything at once, people don't hire you for anything because they can't figure out where they fit in what you actually do. You can, of course, do multiple things. I do. But you need to lead with one clear thing. Once you're in the door, that's a perfect time for you to expand. Sometimes it's the fear of not standing out. You think, if I just say what I do plainly, won't I sound exactly like everyone else? Don't I need to differentiate? But you differentiate through how you do the thing you do, who you do it for, and the results you create, not through confusing language. Saying, I help mums build profitable businesses may sound basic, but when you add without burning out, or that fit their actual lives, or using human design and strategy, now you're clear and different. Clear doesn't mean generic. Clear means people understand the what, and then you differentiate with the how. So if you're resisting simplifying your messaging, ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of? Because usually it's not that clarity won't work for you. It's that clarity feels exposing. It requires you to commit to a position, to be specific, and to risk being wrong for some people so that you can be absolutely right for others. And that is uncomfortable. But it's also how you build a real business instead of one that appeals to everyone and converts no one. I've found that one of the hardest parts of creating clear messaging is accepting who it is that you are not for. Because clear messaging doesn't just attract the right people, it also repels the wrong people. And that's what we want. When you say, I help mums build businesses, you're clearly saying, I don't help people without kids. And that may feel uncomfortable. Because what if someone without kids wants to work with you? But when you have vague messaging and you try to appeal to everyone, you say something generic like, I help women build businesses. But now mums can't tell if you understand their specific challenges. And women without kids can't tell if you're for them either. So you've attracted no one. But if you instead said, I help mums build businesses that fit around school hours and nap times. Now mums know immediately that yes, you get it. And women without kids self-select out, which saves everyone time. That is the power of exclusion. When you're clear about who you serve, you make it so easy for the right people to say yes and the wrong people to say no. And yeah, sometimes the wrong person will still want to work with you, and you can decide then whether to say yes. But at least they're coming to you knowing that you specialize in something else, rather than thinking you're the perfect fit when you're really not. Here's another example. I work with business owners is vague. I work with coaches who want to sign their first 5 clients is specific. And yes, that means you're saying no to coaches who already have 50 clients because they probably aren't your people anyway. The clearer you are about who you're for, the more powerfully you attract exactly those people. And the more clearly you repel people who aren't a fit, which saves you time, energy, and mismatched client relationships. So when you're simplifying your messaging, you'll likely hit a moment when you think, but if I say this, I'm excluding that whole other group of potential people to work with. Good. That means your messaging is working, because trying to be for everyone means you're compelling to no one. Choosing who you're for means you become magnetic to exactly those people. I will say this though, clarity requires courage. The courage to say, this is who I am and this is who I stand for, and accept that everyone else just isn't. But that's how you build a real business with real clients who are genuinely the right fit for you. All right, as I'm coming to wrap up this episode, I want to get really clear on how to simplify your messaging. Step 1, I want you to write it down like you're explaining it to a friend. Seriously. Imagine someone asks, what is it that you do at a barbecue? What would you say? You wouldn't say, "Oh, I facilitate transformational business evolution." You might say something like, "Ah, I help mums start coaching businesses." That is your starting point, that conversational version. Then refine it from there. Step 2, remove the jargon. Any word that your ideal client wouldn't use, remove it. It could be things like holistic, transformational, alignment, authentic, empowerment. These words mean different things to different people. They're vague, so cut them. Replace them with concrete language. What actual things are you helping with? Step 3, use the so what test. Read back your messaging and ask, so what? I help you create business alignment. So what? So you can build a profitable business without burning out. That's the real message. Start there. Step 4, and this is going to feel weird, but cut it in half. Whatever you've written, cut it in half, and then potentially cut it in half again. We tend to over-explain ourselves. We use 3 sentences when one would do. We add qualifiers and cravats and extras and all the things that aren't necessary. So strip it back to the essentials. What's the absolute minimum someone needs to know to decide if this is for them? And step 5, test it on someone outside of your industry. I want you to show your messaging to someone who doesn't work in your field and ask them, what is it that I do and who is it for? If they can answer immediately and correctly, your messaging is clear. If they hesitate or guess wrong, it is still too complex. The goal is not to sound impressive, it is to be instantly understood. Let me share with you a little personal story about what happened when I finally realized all this and stripped my messaging back, which is a work in progress, I will admit. For so long, I had been trying to sound sophisticated. My homepage talked about sustainable business architecture and aligned entrepreneurial frameworks. Oof, it sounded professional, but nobody knew what it was that I actually did. So I simplified it. I help mums build sustainable businesses that fit their lives. That's it. Boring, basic, clear. And that's when things started converting for me. Not because I changed my offerings, not because I added more value, because I made it easier to understand. People started referring me more because they could actually explain what it is that I do. Discovery calls became easier because people already understood the offer before they booked. And sales objections decreased because there was less confusion. And interestingly, I didn't lose credibility. Instead, I gained it because being able to explain something complex in simple terms signals expertise, not lack of it. Remember that the most knowledgeable people can make complicated things simple, whereas the people who are still figuring it out hide behind complex language. So clarity didn't diminish my authority, it just strengthened it. Alrighty, before we wrap up, I want to give you a practical audit you can do right now. I want you to pull up your website, your sales page, or your Instagram bio, wherever your main messaging sits, and ask yourself these questions. If someone landed on this page for the first time, would they instantly understand what I do, or would they have to work it out? Could they explain my offer to someone else after reading this? Is there jargon that only people in my industry would understand? Am I trying to sound clever instead of being clear? Am I listing features instead of outcomes? And am I using 3 sentences where one would do? I want you to be ruthless. If there is any confusion, simplify it. Because every confused potential client is a lost sale, and every person who has to think too hard is someone who scrolls on by instead of buying. And remember, especially for your ideal clients who are managing a million things, who don't have capacity to decode your clever messaging, clarity is everything. So strip it back, make it clear, make it so simple that someone scrolling quickly can instantly understand what you do, who it's for, and how it helps them. If this episode has made you realize that maybe your messaging needs simplifying, I want you to send me a DM at balancebizmama on Instagram and tell me, what are you going to clarify? And if you want support, maybe around creating clear, compelling messaging that actually converts, but even just in general life of running a business as a mum, I invite you to come join us in the Balanced Biz Mama Circle. We can all work on this stuff together. So remember, Mama, clarity converts better than cleverness. Every single time. Your ideal clients don't need you to sound impressive. They need to instantly understand what it is that you do and whether it's for them. So stop trying to be clever, stop using jargon, and stop overcomplicating everything. I just want you to be so clear that your 8-year-old could explain what you do, and be so simple that someone scrolling past will instantly get it. Because confused people don't buy, clear people do. So until next time, simplify your message, trust in the clarity, and remember, you've got this. Thanks for joining me on Coffee, Clients and Nap Time. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another mum who's ready to build their dream life. You can also join our Facebook page or Instagram to stay connected every day of the week. The link is in the show notes. Just remember, you've got this, and I'm here to help every step of the way.